So as I came out here, right there in the center of the screen at the end of the driveway, there's a fox. I want to talk about the war in Russia. We are fighting World War III now. It's official, in my opinion. It's one of those, it's a fine line when you cross it, but we've crossed it. It looks like World War III is going to be fought non-nuclear. And this is, I don't know, there's several things we could talk about. I could talk about what I think Putin's going to do. I might make that a separate video, and I'm saying that here so when I watch this later, I'll remember to make that video. As far as what's going on in Russia, though, you should get that the United States has been fighting the Cold War ever since the Cold War ended. What I mean by that? What I mean by that is we aren't going to let Russia fucking have any of its former glory back. Flat out, we never would. That's why he invaded. The shit they're doing in Ukraine, that is an attack on Russia. Okay? It was from the get-go. You can't say it's not. Like, this is like in Lawrence of Arabia. Go watch Lawrence of Arabia, and there's a portion where basically T.E. Lawrence has told all these Arabs that they're fighting for their own country, and he always kind of knew that wasn't true. But the English, well, they told him whatever he wanted to hear. He told the Arabs whatever they wanted to hear. This is much as what's going on in Ukraine. The United States is telling people what they wish to hear. What they're not hearing is that we are basically funding Nazi Russians to go kill other Russians. And just by fucking putting that state there and having its ties to the Democratic Party that it has, that's the issue. The issue is that it's a little piece of America right next to Russia. And to be honest, Russia's calling them Nazis because they are fucking Nazis, because we're fucking Nazis. You should get that. The only Nazi state truly left in the world is America. She was formed out of the wake of World War II. It gets worse every year. Every year that I've been alive, the Nazi state that is America grows worse. I voted for Trump because, I don't know, he seemed like he wasn't owned by anybody and not a Nazi. I liked that, so I voted for him twice. Does he have ties to Russia? As much as I do. Like, it's one of those things, like, if you've done business with Russians, you technically have ties to Russia, right? I don't think Trump has any political ties to Russia, really. It's one of those things, like, the Russians can't afford him. What do you get a man that has everything? And, like, the President of the United States on top of that, like, there's nothing that you could really give that man, in my opinion. Maybe that's because I'm an American. And I think like an American, and why would anyone who's at the fucking top of our system sell out their fucking soul to you for any fucking price? That don't make sense. Anyway, that whole situation, though, is, in a nutshell, we started another Vietnam 10 years ago under Obama, and nobody fucking talked about it. Okay? Nobody ever fucking talked about anything that the fucking Democrats did to get us into wars. No one ever talked about the fact that they got us into Vietnam. fuck those pricks. That's what's going on here. Is really Putin's mad at the exact same people you and I are. And I'm not even fucking holding back on that shit anymore. Joe Biden should fucking swing from a fucking rope. He is a traitor. He is a traitor and has sold his soul to China, at least, if not Russia and China. And this is, you know, they think it's okay to do this because Trump was a paid puppet of Russia. In reality, Trump wasn't a paid puppet of Russia. They're just fucking criminals. And they're using Trump to excuse their actions when Trump didn't commit any crimes, and that's why Trump isn't in prison. They've had the power of God for 2 years and they can't get Trump in prison. They've had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So fuck those motherfuckers. They stole a goddamn election. We're gonna have a civil war here. Why are we gonna have a civil war here? Because I'd rather fucking fight the Democrats than fight the Russians. I don't know. Maybe you should consider that before you go to war with Russia. How many sleeper agents might you have living in this country? I mean, if you say Trump is a Russian asset, I have no reason to believe that you're not going to come black bag me. So, you know, it's one of those. Come and fucking take it. That's what I'm saying. Like, if the FBI is going to come and arrest me for being a rogue Russian asset in Oklahoma, when I've never spoken to Russians hardly at all in my life, except on a couple of occasions, I think we'll have dead, not going to say that one, spicy, dead something. I think about this every day, because basically this is coming. They're coming here and they're going to arrest everyone who's in the Republican Party and say that they're a Russian fucking traitor. Fuck that shit. If they do that shit, let there be jihad. You know? This is the thing, is like, I kind of view this as most of the people on the internet with any brains at all, they don't say the shit that I say. I say the shit that I say because if anyone ever fucking took me to court about it, I'd have a lawyer and I would probably have him sit down and fold his hands while I talked. And I would talk directly at the judge. And I talk pretty good. And like a lot of you don't get that, I basically dropped all errors on this thing. I don't see a reason to. In front of a judge or public or whatever, I can be a completely different human being. While I'm ranting at you about fucking Russia, you know, probably not true. Interesting. I don't know, man. It seems like we are fucking doomed. Seems like we are doomed, beyond doomed, for a couple key reasons. And the reason I say this is the Ukrainians have turned off all their nuclear power plants. The European Union has declared Russia a state sponsor of terrorism. Like, all of the European economies have gone to a war economy footing, if you know what that means. 1/3 of all their GDP is currently going to buying military arms. Here pretty soon, it's going to be half. And here pretty soon, it's going to be 100%. And this is... Some people are about to make a lot of fucking money. That's what's going on here. Rearming Europe to fight off the Russians would cancel our debt. This is, in a nutshell, their plan. This is why you should be fucking prepared. Like I said at the start of the video, I do a separate video on Pootie Poo's thing that he's gonna do. I'm still gonna do that, but let's talk about it here too. The thing that Putin's going to do is, I'm calling it red crystal knocked, because I like history. And the thing that he's gonna do is fucking Christmas Eve, he's gonna have the whole Red Army's tank force fucking hit the Ukrainian force. Why? Well, the people that are there are essentially Germans. Little different, but like the thing that you should get is their religion and their beliefs about a lot of things are exactly the same. And Christmas is a big deal. It's a big enough deal that if I were going to hit the Ukrainians, that's when I'd hit them. I'd hit them Christmas Eve at midnight with the entire Russian army in our newest tanks. And I wouldn't stop until they were all dead. And the reason why we would wait till then is basically the Russians are used to fighting in winter, and most people are not. And their tanks do very well on cold ground. So the second the ground's frozen, Russian tanks go to war. Well, in ways that they haven't yet. And this is what Russia's been preparing for. And they're going to start it with a big offensive. This big offensive is going to happen sometime in the next 6 months. And it's going to be either tomorrow, well, today now, sorry, this is Thanksgiving, or Christmas or New Year's, somewhere in there. Like, a lot of people don't get that warfare, when you're engaging it against people, you need to understand people. You need to understand what they're doing and whatever, and nobody wants to fight then. That's when you're going to have your least resistance. That's, you know, in The Wind and the Lion, Teddy Roosevelt talks about a bear, and he talks about how he respects the bear. He respects the bear because he attacked at dawn. He knew men would be at their worst then. He knew men would be at their weakest then. He wanted an edge. Putin and the bear that attacked Teddy Roosevelt's camp are the same animal. They are tired of being tread upon. They view what you are doing as encroaching upon their territory. And this bear has a large nuclear arsenal and is at the head of an army that has a history of over 1,000 years of winning. Like, I beg you, there's no begging now that'll do any good, basically. I feel like I've been preaching to the wilderness here for years now, begging them not to do this. And they're just stupid enough to do it, and they don't get that we're going to live in a world run by the Russian Empire now. China's a small dick player. China has economy. China makes stuff. China's not good at war. Flat out, they aren't. Like, this is what makes kings kings. Well, it's the fact that they're good at war. And the best kings on earth have always been from Northern Europe. And the reason is, basically, the winter breeds better fighters. And when you're up in the winter for tens of thousands of years, you're bigger, you're stronger, like the Russian average soldier is a different stock of human than the average French soldier. Most people don't get that. Like, maybe that's a different thing here in the 21st century, but I doubt it. If I'm Putin, I sent fucking buses out into every fucking mountain patch I had looking for riflemen. Okay? I sent fucking people looking for anyone that drives cars to teach them to drive tanks. We must survive. Our way of life must continue. That's what Putin is fighting for. And you're pissing and shitting on the memory of everyone that ever held a fucking rifle in reality. Fighting him, but okay. this is kind of in a nutshell why I'm not too hip to go fight Russians. I don't even like Russians. I study Russians to kill Russians. I like him more than you do, though. And this is, of course they wouldn't like Putin. Putin's a great man. He has his issues. He occasionally commits genocide. Who doesn't? Great men are things that those Democrats, including Joe Biden, have never even met. I've known great men. I've ridden with them. I've watched them die. Fuck these fucks, and fuck their war, and fuck the fact that they don't even like America. That's why they're doing this. They want to reshape it in their own weird image. They should all fucking be hung for it. Every last one of them's a fucking traitor. Every last one of them swore an oath to defend the Constitution, and every one of them is shitting upon it. Every single Democrat should be hung.